Welcome to OASIS Talks, the podcast where we explore the latest global trends and insights in the world of accounting, finance, and business. I'm your host, Numair, and today we are joined by an exceptional guest who will share with us her unique journey and expertise. Let's move to our guest, Viktoria Soltesz. Welcome to the show.
Hello, hi, Numair. Thank you very much for inviting me here, and it's an absolute pleasure to be with you here today.
Before we dive into the today's episode, can you start by introducing yourselves to our listeners and sharing a bit about your background and the journey?
Sure. So I actually started 20 years ago as an accountant, a tax advisor back in Cyprus. Which is a tiny little island in the Mediterranean. And back at the day, Cyprus just joined the EU. So it was a very exciting time when a lot of foreign companies wanted to open an international company here in Cyprus as well, still being the EU, but integrate that with their tax optimization structure. So that was my job originally. But back at the day, things were completely different. You walked in the bank, you gave your passport, or even just sent it over in a fax. No one asked about utility bills. You open a bank account really easily and really quickly. It was the same with the merchant accounts. You just set up a website and you integrated any kind of payment provider. They didn't really ask a lot of questions. So when I was doing my work as an accountant and tax advisor, time went by and compliance became an issue. And the bank started to ask more and more questions, and they started to filter out different activities. Cyprus was a big hub for investment brokerages and investment firms, so it was a very high risk vertical to start up with. Then back in 2016-17, there was the crypto era when everybody wanted to do an ICO, and get money for so-called investment, selling the coin, which was not really regulated. So that was the time when I became a suffered merchant myself, trying to deal with the banks, trying to understand why they approve certain things, why they reject others, what is this thing as a compliance, how is it that it's so subjective, and overall what is going on in the international money movements. So then I realized that even though that everybody has the same problem and have the same questions, no one seemed to have the answers for that. So I was digging, and through my curiosity, I was trying to collect as much information as I could online. And that was the birth of my company, the payment and banking consultancy company, which is alive today. It's the PSP Angels, which is helping online businesses, international companies, startups, and today even financially licensed institutions, banks, neobanks, payment providers, to really understand how these banking systems work, how banks communicate with each other, how money moves internationally, and overall what is the compliance and how you can actually make the most out of it and make informed decisions around your money flow. So in a nutshell, this is what I.
So, what are the common myths people have around payment consulting?
Sure. There are a lot of these misconceptions and misunderstandings and problems around banking and payment planning. First of all, not that many companies are actually doing it. So that means that you've got an international company, monthly volume in and out is in the millions, but they still have one bank account or one payment provider, which is a single point of failure. They don't even think that this is a problem. I have seen many times that they don't have any strategy whatsoever. Whoever is approaching them with a new service or product, they're asking for the prices, thinking that, that's what matters, and they make a decision based simply on the price. Again, it might not be the best way, because there are so many other aspects on it: technological integration, data security, compliance, risk around the different money flows. So price is just one element. The other thing that I've seen a lot of time, that people trust the salespeople. So many times payment experts, so-called payment experts or payment consultants, are simply just a salesperson of a bank or a payment provider trying to sell the product. And meanwhile, they can give you some good advice. Their ultimate goal is to sell their products, right? So even if it's good for the business, they might not send you to the competition, even though that they know that it could be a better, more suited solution for you. So what I've noticed that this industry as payments and banking starts to grow out as its own, and it needs a lot of independent, unbiased experts who are really telling you what is available on the market, what is your risk, what are the hidden fees, how you can integrate everything technologically. So there are multiple layers to that.
What is the most interesting thing you have found in your journey so far? Any interesting story you would like to share with us?
Yes, actually, I had a business relationship. I was doing the books for this gentleman for a long time in Cyprus. His name is George, and he was the owner and director for multiple different companies. And back at the day in 2018 or 19, when Bitcoin was in full flow, he called me and he says to me that, "Hey, Victoria, you know what I did? Because I know that you're dealing with this crypto stuff. I tell you my story. What happened? So what happened was he bought a Bitcoin or a portion of a Bitcoin back at the day. It was much cheaper for 500 euros, and he was lucky, and the price went up. And he wanted to cash out on 550 euros, making a 10%, 50 euros profit on that. But as soon as his high street traditional bank saw that there is some money coming in from a crypto exchange, which is back at the day, there was no regulation on around that, and every bank was very iffy about that. They immediately started to ask questions, and because it was over 500 euros, it was really hitting all the KYC and AML and all the compliance issues around this payment. So the bank marked him as higher risk trading with crypto. So he was a crypto trader in the eyes of the bank. So it's one thing that they put him personally as a higher risk individual, but because he was the owner and the director of multiple companies, the whole group went on a higher risk category. So at the end of the day, it costed him thousands of euros and banking fees until he managed to reduce his risk score back. So that is one example that why it's very important that you know what you are doing, you understand how banks think and how different decisions can seriously affect your operation as a whole.
Interesting. Looking back at your career, what is the biggest failure you think you have faced so far, and what lesson you have learned from that failure?
Yes, I think when you are in finance, when you're doing other people's finances, other companies' finances, you see more failure than success. And, people don't really talk about the failures. Everybody's focusing on the success. So I think the biggest failure, what I see on repetition, is that people just don't plan. And maybe because, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If you're an accountant or even an accounting background, you think that everything needs serious financial planning. But I think this is very important, and accounting is still the language of the business. So you really need to understand what are your projections, what are your budgets, put plans around every money movement in your operation. And you would be very, very surprised at how much banking and payment can affect areas of the operation which you wouldn't even think about. For example, the growth area, which is traditionally the marketing and sales. Maybe you want to spend marketing budget to enter to a new jurisdiction first, but if you don't have a local partner, a local bank, a trustworthy channel to collect money from your clients, if you don't offer the preferred payment methods to your clients, you can spend all the money on the marketing as you want. Clients are coming to your website, click, click, try to pay, but they cannot. And this is resulting many times. I've seen a lot of times lost money, which you pumped into marketing and generating no results whatsoever. So planning, and some more planning. This is what I see that as the major failure of many of those businesses.
You recently launched your book, Moving Money: How Banks Think on a Global Scale. So, what was feedback upon international launch of this book? What feedback you have received from different jurisdictions about this book?
Yeah, so maybe I can start from the beginning. I wrote this book because I had to repeat the same things over and over and over again to my clients. So, once the clients start to ask the same questions on a repetition, it's easier and it's more trustworthy to put it down in a written format and then send it out to them on an email or refer them to that article that I'm writing about the whole problem. Then this became a training material for my colleagues, my new employees. So everybody who joined PSP Angels, I sent out this knowledge-based article kind of summary to educate themselves on the subject and the industry. And this became the book. So it was a lot of real life example and experience that I wrote down in the book. And it came out in January. Right now, it's available in all Amazon stores. And it looks like that I was really hitting the pain points to many businesses, as I mentioned, with the payment and banking strategy and optimization and planning. And everybody said that somehow there is no book or there is no educational opportunity which is summarizing everything around banking and payments to this depth. So yes, there are some information about data security in payments, and that's it. Or there is a course in banking, but it might not actually mention anything about payments. Or there is a financial risk, but again, it doesn't mention, for example, the Visa and Mastercard, regulations. So I try to put together an easy to understand overall subject and knowledge, which is affecting every part of the payments and banking, starting with the history as of today, the compliance, moving forward to the risk, the technology, the different integrations, the different payment methods, the fees, how to calculate with the fees. So overall, this as a book came out as, thanks God, it's a massive success now. And based on this, we realized that it looks like that there is a big need for some educational institute which is summarizing all this knowledge. So from
Interesting.
September, in a couple of days, we are launching the Soltesz Institute as well, which is the independent institute, which is giving certification and education on different levels around this banking and payment knowledge. So if you're a company, you want to hire someone to deal with your money, to make decisions over your money flows, maybe it's not the accountant who is the best person on that. I mean, I'm an accountant. I was never trained on a lot of things, which is, nowadays on fintech. So this is the gap that we are filling of educating people who are making decisions on money movements within a company. So that's what the Shortest Institute is doing. We are launching in a couple of days.
What is your favorite productivity hack and how an ordinary day of you look like?
Productivity hack. Well, I think the most important thing, and I've learned it during my journey as well, that you need to have the right people in your team, and this is so important because mainly when you're in a startup phase and you're trying to do everything on your own, you cannot. So you need to have the good people, the good team members who are also taking care of your company as their own, making the relevant decisions, not because you are telling them to do so, but because they have the common sense. And the biggest problem with the common sense is that not common at all.
Yeah,
So the
yeah,
productivity hack, I would
that's a big
say.
issue.
Exactly. So you need to put the right people at the right positions, making the right decisions for you. And that can really boost your productivity. But it's very hard because the decisions are very subjective. People are obviously, very complex beings. So whoever is good with one aspect might be lacking on some other skills. So it is a very hard job to actually put together a team that you can really rely on.
Is there any favorite social media platform of you and anything you think should be changed about social media?
I am using a lot the LinkedIn, but I think because it's our profession, we are financial professionals. It's not necessarily something that it's easily to digest. So we got a limited kind of audience that we create content for. So in my opinion, LinkedIn is just a perfect platform for that. But obviously, the good old Instagram and Facebook and whatnot is also helping us a lot. We also have a Twitter account, which is now an X. What I believe personally, that social media will disappear in a couple of years, simply because there is going to be a big confusion about what is real and what is not. And even now, I can see that there are a lot of AI generated content. And right now, if I'm reading an article, I don't know if I'm reading a ChatGPT article, which is I'm wasting time because it's not that I can write this article with ChatGPT in a second, or is there something where the humans experience the uniqueness is added to that article? And this is just one example. So if we are thinking about, but again, that's just my opinion, in a couple of years' time, if we see an expert, is it really an expert? Is it really experting on the subject, or just a ChatGPT general content which is being put out? I don't know. I think I am one of the lost humans who wrote the book by herself, because right now, if you want to write a book, it takes a couple of days. With the big language models, it's very easy to create any kind of book about any kind of subject, and that dilutes the quality of the content. And that's why I'm thinking that the social media as it is today, people are relating to content creators, people understand what the message of that person is, will be very much diluted. And I think that will shift a lot of attention away from social media, because if everything is AI generated, why am I even there? I can generate my own content, which is more suitable for my needs, other than browsing through the available contents. But again, it's just my opinion. I think we need to concentrate on what it is today and create content as much as we can today, because there is still a good audience. And we just jump the bridge when we get there in a couple of years. Let's see what happens in the future.
I know you used to travel a lot, and you are not staying in one country. You are traveling between Malta and Cyprus a lot. So right now, in which country you are based in, and in future, what would be your preferred destination?
I think we are very privileged and very blessed in this time and age that you can live in multiple countries. So, yes, I'm living in Cyprus. My base is in Cyprus. My company is in Cyprus. So I'm spending most of my time in Cyprus. But as you said, I'm traveling a lot. There are a lot of businesses, mainly when it comes to money and compliance and financial decisions, that you have to be there. So you have to travel to the client's premises to really get the best experience for the clients through consultancy. So I do travel a lot, but I think Europe is very unique on its own. Once you start traveling, it's like one country becomes like another, mainly when you're going there not for holiday purposes, but when you're consulting the client, is an office is an office, and a taxi is a taxi, and the airport is an airport. But we are opening our horizons, and we want to focus on the Middle Eastern market as well as the United States, simply because what we are trying to raise awareness of is very global and international, and people still might not really grasp that how different banking and payments are in, for example, in the States, then in Europe, then in the Middle East, then in Asia, then in Africa. And if you have an international company, you need to be aware of these differences globally. The banks are regulated differently. Your money movements are completely different. So all over, this is the message that we are trying to bring out, and for that we need to target different markets as well to raise awareness for every business.
What advice would you like to give to finance professionals in terms of payment consulting and payments management in today's cross-border business? Because right now we see a lot of cross-border transactions. Countries are coming more and more closer in terms of selling and receiving services and products. So, what is the most important thing a finance professional should look at when he's managing the cross-border payments?
Everything is changing all the time. So your company is changing because you are growing, you're introducing new markets, your internal team is changing, your risk appetite is changing. But then the providers are changing. The bank that you started your account 5 years ago, it's a different bank now. Even though that they are a big legacy system, high street banks from the 1800s, today every fin company is now a fintech company because they need to catch up with the new innovations. So the bank is changing, their correspondent trails are changing, the prices are changing, the risk appetite changing. And on top of that, the environment is changing because 10 years ago, it was easy to pay with cards. Today, you've got multiple options. You've got the top-up cards, you've got the wallets, you've got the cryptocurrencies, you've got the mobile payments. So you as open banking, for example, it's all over right now in Europe, and it's going to the States as well. So what I'm trying to say is that everything is changing all the time. So just because you have a good payment and banking strategy as of today, your work doesn't end up here. You always need to monitor what is out there, how can it benefit my business in the best possible way, what are the different options, what is my risk, which is again changing all the time, and adopt to the payment and banking environment with your business as much as you can. So keep always be vigilant, keep an open mind, and always revise and question every step that you're making, because at the end of the day, the risk is on your most valuable asset, which is your money. So you want to maximize not only the profit but the risk and the technological environment as well around your operation. So overall, pay attention, update, and plan.
What is your availability in terms of in person, and what are your social media handles where you can be reached easily?
Sure. So we got a website, obviously, PSP, payment service provider, pspangels.com. But you can find me on LinkedIn, Viktoria Soltesz. The book is on every Amazon store, Moving Money, How Banks Think. And also we are on Instagram, Payment Angel. And as I said, we've got a Twitter account, which is now an X, and the Facebook as well. So it's not that hard. You're just typing in my name and the payments, and usually it comes up. So I would like to encourage everyone who's got questions, recommendations, or even a real-time story, real-life example for me, what is happening in the banking and payment world. Please share this, because together we can build a better awareness of this industry, of the problems, and resolve the complexities together in a most effective way if we share the knowledge together. And of course, as I mentioned, the Soltesz Institute is opening up in a couple of days. So also this is the educational platform. There you find a lot of webinars, podcasts like this, articles, and obviously the paid courses as well, and tailor-made courses for the companies. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us, and obviously we are here to answer to every questions you might have.
Yeah, thank you, Victoria. And with this, we would like to conclude our today's podcast. We believe that payment consulting is an evolving subject, and where a lot of things need to be unfolded. People, we really appreciate, Victoria, the job you are doing, and we extend our heartiest thankfulness to you. And we are really appreciative of your time, and looking forward to have more interesting sessions with you. Anything
Thank
you
you.
would like to add?
Well, thank you very much, Numair, and I'm really looking forward to keep in touch, bounce some ideas, and wish you all the luck in OASIS as well, and your team. You're also doing an amazing job doing this podcast, so keep on doing that. Congratulations, and thank you very much for the opportunity.